Hey guys, it's Megan Aller, account executive here in Denver, Colorado with First American Title. This week we're going to be talking about our detached Metro Denver market update, and I wanted to give you some preliminary information about us going into the retraction phase within our market. Typically what happens is we go into May and June. Those are our peak months of the year. This year we ended up peaking a little bit early in May, and we've already started to experience some of that price retraction going into June. That means that we're entering into a period of increased affordability for our buyers that they should be taking advantage of up until about Labor Day at this point. Now, going into June, we noted that our average inventory went up by about 7.2% for the detached market, and we ended up having just over 5,000 active units for sale in our 7 Metro Denver County area. Now, the number of units going under contract started to taper, and that's right on pace with what we've seen in the last 7 years. Number of units going under contract tapered off by about 3.3%, with about 4,300 units going under contract. Days on market remained relatively constant from where we were back in May. We'll start to note increasing days on market as we report those numbers coming in for July. Average days on market was about 21, which is pretty close to the bottom of the market back in 2015 and 16. Average days on market got as low as 14 to 15. This year we're still sitting at 21, which is historically incredibly low. Median days to contract sat at about 8. That meant that about 50% of our units were under contract within the first 8 days that they were listed. Now, average sales prices, as I noted at the very beginning, have already started to pull back a little bit. Not quite a lot yet, but month over month, they ended up falling by just about 1% for both the average price and the median sales price here in Metro Denver. Now, again, what we'll expect to see going through September and October is those prices should fall back. Year to date, we've had 9.7% appreciation. We can expect to lose 3 to 5% of that appreciation as we move forward into our fall months. Close to list price ratios didn't average out or peak out over 100% like we had in previous years, meaning that we've had a lot of really good solid full price offers with a little bit of negotiation, but we haven't had quite the level of bidding wars that we had seen in years past. Flash sales, or the units gone in that first weekend, was down to 49.1%. That metric should also start to decline as we march forward until the end of the year. Now, in the month of June, it was almost 60% of listings sold for at or over their asking price. However, again, a lot more came in at their asking price rather than over their asking price as we reported for June. Now, looking at the relationship between supply and demand, what we can expect as we go into July, August, September, and October is more choices available per buyer. At the bottom of our market for this annual cycle back in April, for every one buyer in the market, they had roughly one home to choose from. However, going into July, August, September, and October, that number is going to be pushing up to 2. And so that means that every buyer in the market will now have 2 homes to choose from, which is still not a lot of inventory in our marketplace. A balanced market would be noted by a 6-month relationship, or for every one buyer in the market, 6 homes for them to choose from. So I would encourage those buyers to take advantage of increased inventory in our marketplace. When we look at this number again, for those people who are concerned about the declining prices, very seasonal. In order for a bubble to burst, you have to have both rising prices and rising inventory. The graph behind me shows in blue the inventory that we have versus the red bar is what we would need to have for a balanced market. At this point, even at the peak of the market for this annual cycle, we only had about 20% of the units that we needed to offset inventory. Now, again, what we can expect to see over the next couple of months, prices will retract by 3 to 5%. So if you had buyers that were FHA approved, VA approved, couldn't make up the appraisal gap, were not competitive in competitive offer situations, or perhaps they're contingent on the sale of another home, this next 8 to 10 week period gives them the best opportunity to try and get something under contract. Now, I hope that you'll continue to list as we go into Q3. The market is still incredibly good for sellers, but we're slightly off that peak that we typically see at the end of Q1 and beginning of Q2. Now, if there's anything else that we can do to help you out, feel free to reach out to us. And again, I hope that we'll get to meet you and your clients at our closing tables. We'll see you soon.